Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Welcome to another session of the Fmmc Diploma. I am excited to be the one taking to this lesson. And no matter how many times I teach, every session is an excitement for me. And I'm happy that I can do this continually with this program. I hope we've all had a good day, and I would like us to reflect on our last class. That's how we start a new class. We have to bring back some of the things we picked from that class, bring it to front of our memories again, and then we can now progress into today's session. So we'll have volunteers, at least 5 people, look through your notes, indicate by raising your hand on the raise hand function Zoom, and then I'll recognize you to speak for the maximum 1 minute. Okay, so is there anyone here who did not do an introduction on our first day on Wednesday? I hope you saw on our videos. Silva, Rita, Philo, Destiny,
My
Habib,
video is on,
Idris.
or you can't see me.
That's curious. How come it's on and I can't see you? Are you on ghost mode?
No.
I see Silva now. Silva, yes, I see Silva clearly. Sorry, not you. I think I was talking about Rita. Rita is the one that the video is on, but it's a dark screen that I'm seeing. Yeah, thank you, Philomena, for coming on screen. I see, I thought I saw Edith a minute ago. Yeah, thank you, Rita, for coming on screen. Welcome. And Habib. Edith, are you able to come on screen as well? So I'm missing.
Yes, I'm screen. Good evening.
I'm missing. Good evening. I'm missing Henry. I've not seen Henry. Is Henry here today? No, I've not seen Henry. Okay. So let's get on with our takeaways from the last class. Can I hear from you, please? Key takeaways. One for a minute. All right, let's start with Siva. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, so one of the things I learned last week was about the classifications of FM services. We have two, the hard services and the soft services. So the hard services has to do with tangible aspects of FM, like electricals, plumbing, and it's like, and then the soft services has to do with occupant services like catering, security, and landscaping. Thank you.
All right, fantastic. Fantastic. All right. So the key difference between the two is one is building, maintaining things that are built into the building. The other one is maintaining people that use the building. Okay. Providing for them what they need to be comfortable and have a convenient stay in the building. Fantastic. All right, who's going next? Take away from the last class.
Okay. My key takeaway is from the last class. I was able to understand the definition of facility manager from the normal day-to-day uh, activity that we are used to doing. And that is not just the facility that you concentrate on, you also will look at the people that uses your facility. Talking about the environment, talking about the welfare of people that you are managing. Again, too, that anybody is an area that anybody can really go into with having the right technical and managerial skills to manage that. More so, what stood out for me is that running a facility, being a facility manager, you need a lot of interpersonal skills to be able to harness people and the facility you are managing.
Thank you. That's very good. Very nice. The emphasis on people, the reason why buildings are even erected in the first place is to serve the needs of people. So if we elevate our thinking to that level, we will be doing everything right below there. So whatever you do for the building is not for the building, but because of the reason why the building was built, and that's the people that use it. So you must have a deep understanding of why for every property that you are involved in. And that why is what the individual, the organization that invested in it are doing with the building. So I will have to look beyond all the things that happens, in terms of the building and start going into the kind of things that will make the individuals that use the building more comfortable and productive in the spaces that they are managing. All right, so yes, that's 2 down. We still have some more to go. Take away.
Okay. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
One of my takeaways in our last class, I made to understand that as an FM, we have 3 basic skills: the technical skill, the managerial skill, and the interpersonal skill. And you made us to understand that the most important skill is the interpersonal skill because we are dealing with people and not just the facility. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. In fact, if I were to put percentages on those skills, I will put 50% alone on interpersonal skills. Then I'll put 30% on managerial skills, and then I'll put 20% on technical skills. So nobody should feel like he has a shortage because he doesn't have, he's not an engineer. You can learn all the engineering you need to actually manage a space right from the training you're having here. Yes, Idris, please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone.
Okay.
So before now, I used to think facility management or facility managers manage buildings and all of these things. But from last class, you made us understand that facility managers manage people. It deals with managing people and not only the building. And I also learned about the 11 IFMA FM core competencies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be spending a little bit more time today on the IFMA core competencies. So we're going to stretch that out a little bit when it comes to the career that we're building in FM. All right, one more person. Can you please name your screen properly? The person that has G OLAD or as a screen name, can you rename? You have click on more and retype your name properly. Let it be his first name and last name. Yes, so that I can be able to address it. G OLAD is not registered on this program. All right, one more. Destiny, do you want to take the last shot? Take away from last class.
Okay, sir. Good evening, sir. My key takeaway was day-to-day activity in facility management. I'm a facility manager, I'm in the field, but there are some certain things I didn't know. Like in the last class, it made me to understand that day-to-day activities has to do with the cleaning and the security, then the proper maintenance. Some of these things I didn't know, but based on the last class, I come to understand, and it really helped me in my job between Wednesday and now. My job there is an improvement in what I'm doing now. Thank you.
Awesome. I like to hear that. Awesome, awesome. And this is why we are here. The main reason why we are here is to learn the things that we can put to use immediately. This is not an academic program. It's a professional program. It's formal, but it's practical. It's here the thing that you should go and apply immediately and bring yourself back to us. So thank you so much for that. I'm going to share the screen now. Olamide Olajide, were you here when we did introductions on Wednesday? Share my screen.
Hello, sir. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm actually driving, looking for a space.
Okay. All right.
So that's why I'm
You
rushing.
can be on grace mode. We already announced the rules of the class. You cannot share your
Yes,
video when outside and not in a formal sitting position. So we will allow you to go today.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
So today's lesson is about the career of a facility manager. And the reason we bring this up is you don't wait to get to the end of the course before you not decide what you want to do with your life or with your career, with your progress, right? There has to be a deliberate effort. There has to be a focused approach on there has to be a focused approach on what you want to do with your career, and that's why we are talking about it first. As one of the things we do in the beginning, if you follow the process, you see we introduce the program and the profession. We go straight to the career. You see the end from the beginning. You see kind of opportunities there are. Then we go into strategic facility planning, which helps you to elevate your thinking to that of the C-suite, the management, and start thinking about superior reasoning, analysis that helps you take better decisions. And that will come back to the step-by-step delivery of FM process. You already know why you are doing what you are doing. That is a plan that we do. We put that plan in place deliberately to ensure that you can see clearly ahead of you. Okay, so at the end of this training, you should be able to understand the core competencies that a facility manager should possess. So the full breadth of competencies. And then you can appraise yourself and tell yourself, okay, in this area, I think I'm doing okay. These are the areas where I might probably need to work more. You should also be able to understand the types of FM careers and job opportunities. And of course, some of the two, what I call the two sides of the coin. You are either running the business or working as an employee. And when working as an employee, you can either be working for a service provider or a service consumer. There are two different types of organizations. A service consumer is the one paying for the FM services. And if you work for them, you are a strategist. You are the one helping to craft the kind of contracts that will be put in place. A service provider is the one that gets the contract to provide the services. And there are pros and cons to working for either of these divides in the career of a facility manager. In today's session, we'll not be talking about the business side. We have another course for FM business that will come at a later later stage of the program. But today we're going to give you a kind of a broad view of the career as an employee within the FM industry. And I will talk a little bit more about the hard and soft FM services that we started with or introduced last week or this week on Wednesday. Identifying goals, exploring career options, analyzing the job markets, management of your career pathways, and assessing of talents in relation to the FM industry. That's what we're trying to cover in this session of the training. The course facility management is a professional thing. It's not a discipline. I think I drew the line when I explained the difference between a discipline and a profession in our last class. A discipline is what you consume, what you learn, what you acquire. A profession is what you give, what you do, what value you create. That's what makes a profession. So if you were asked, who are you? Would you say it is your discipline or would you say it's your profession? That question needs to be answered by everyone. And I would dare say that take your discipline as your input, but let your profession be who you are. For example, if you studied accounting and you earn a degree in accounting and you work as a banker, if somebody asks you, who are you, for example, you will not normally say, I'm an accountant. You will say, I'm a banker. In fact, if you studied accounting and you go into audits, and somebody asks you, who are you? You will not say, I'm an accountant. You will say, I'm an auditor, right? So that's the same thing with facility management. Whether you study engineering, management, business, education, whatever it is, when you come into facility management and you acquire the body of knowledge, you learn what you need to learn, and start working as a facility manager, whether as an employee or as an employee or as an employer, you have become a professional facility manager. So if somebody asks you, who are you? You no longer say, I'm an accountant, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor, I'm a nurse. No, you say, I'm a facility manager. This is what you represent now. This is what you do. This is what you do for a living, what you give as a value to the society. So how do you become a facility manager? I would typically say if you can read, write, analyze. Yes, so the read, write is important because it's a component of communication. So if you can communicate, you can become a facility manager. All right, so to achieve that read, write, communicate, analyze, qualification or abilities or capability, you need to have some basic. Right from secondary school, not so there yet. But if you've earned any type of tertiary education credits, a diploma or a TC2 or any of those things that comes after secondary school, even if it's higher A levels like we used to have in those days, then you are ready. Now, if you earn a bachelor's, that is good. It gives you an edge. But starting an FM career does not require so many degrees because the degrees are not as relevant as you might expect, okay? Because once you get into facility management and you acquire the professional knowledge, what now stands you out is your certification, not necessarily additional degrees. And why is that? Degrees coming from an institution, higher order degrees coming from an institution, different from another institution, are not at the same level. But certification, professional qualifications coming from one organization, to a global audience is rated the same across board. So if somebody has a master's degree from Unilag and another person has a master's degree from Ekiti or from Bielsa, for example, when those two degrees are laid on the table, you would agree with me that the one that has a university that is higher rated, the degree from that university is also higher rated than the other one. But if you all have the certificate of a professional program, a course, a diploma, a certification, a credential, a designation from a professional association or professional training institution, it puts everybody at the same level, right? So that's what I would like to encourage. Before you stack up more degrees in your career path, make sure you become properly professional by acquiring designations and credentials that can form a global standard. So if you have the Facility Management Mastercraft Diploma, for example, you are joining an elite group of more than 1,000 people who have earned the FMD designation certification to their name, right? And anywhere you go, you are going to be seen as someone at par with those high-performing facility managers in the various organizations where you will find yourself. So even if you have a personality deficit, if you have an attitude, deficit, you have, different kind of deficit that makes you not to be at that level. The fact that you have that qualification puts you a foot in the door first. They are sorting through CV. They don't know you. They don't know that you're probably a nonchalant person who doesn't care about your career, but they'll scan through and say, oh, this person that had this qualification used to be very good. So everybody that has this qualification, we're going to study them out and shortlist them. It's only you that now go to that interview and have to make sure that you prove to them that you know what you are doing, that you will excel as well as good as the person that they used to benchmark that certification. So that's the whole idea of getting certification. But in terms of work, transitioning into facility management, if you're in a job that is complementary to facility management, administration, operations, internal services, campuses, in residential installations, hospitality industry, managers, front end, back end office, managers in hotels. If you are working in hospitals at Matron, for example, administrative people in different, you already are a facility manager, just that they've not called you a facility manager. So once you now qualify, you don't have a credential as a facility manager, the expectation is that you identify yourself as a facility manager within the environment where you work, even when you are in logistics. We did the core versus non-core dichotomy in our last class. Everything that is core business, core to the business, is not facility management. Anything that is non-core to the business supports the core, enables the core, automatically is what? Facility management. That's where you all come in. Now, in terms of this transition, because we all studied something different, nobody studied facility management as a first degree, right? In coming into it, the expectation is that you should be able to start from somewhere. The whole idea of what we are doing in this FM Mastercraft Diploma is to ensure that if you had experience before, you come and train, you validate, you acquire a certification to validate your experience, you are good to go. But if you did not have a fresh school leaver, like we have a couple in this class who are just leaving from school, no jobs yet, and they're in this program. We don't want you to now have a certificate that has trained you, and then you don't have a practical experience to back it up, because once you are over 18, maybe 20, or worst case 21, every employer expects you to come in with some form of experience. So they will ask you, where have you done this before? Where have you done that before? It becomes a problem when you have just one out of the two. You have a training and a certificate, and you don't have experience to go with it. That becomes a big challenge. So what do? We now created the approach where we can now have an internship arrangement where you can exhibit what you have learned in a practical environment, working for an organization with or without pay. The whole idea is that you are the one giving of yourself in exchange for the opportunity to have an experience that you can add to your CV. That's basically it, right? Now, for those who are working in related positions, like I have listed, logistics admin and internal service and the rest, that have not identified themselves as facility managers all along. Now you are going to identify yourself as facility manager, but how do you refine what you do to align with your new understanding of your role as facility management? That's why you need to execute the 6 projects, right? Just like everyone else. The moment you execute those 6 projects, it transforms your experience. It transforms all the things you have been doing that have not been so directly facility management into very direct facility management outputs. You can now have things that you can be proud of as a facility manager from the moment you acquire them. Now, you start somewhere, you need to gain some more training, right? So before we had the FM diploma that we are rolling out now, there was really nothing by way of a comprehensive package locally available for facility managers. We had the FM Essentials. It's an ISMA course. ISMA is the International Facility Management Association based in the USA. They have chapters in Nigeria and other countries, about 150 countries in the world. They have the Essentials of Facility Management, which is a series of workshops, altogether about 10 workshops. I'll give you a certificate on certain aspects of facility management at the shop floor. So operations and maintenance, work management, performance management, those are the things you will learn in the Essentials. It's a certificate, not a certification and not a credential. Now, we also have the FMP, Facility Management Professional. This is, we talked about the 11 competencies the other day, right? Out of those 11 competencies, 4 of them have been packaged together to create the Facility Management Professional course by ISMA as well. This FMP provides you, when you finish it, you pass the exams online and you download 4 certificates. It also comes with a credential called Facility Management Professional, so FMP. So if you have your name, Paul Erubani, FMP, is because you have earned this credential. It is a once in a lifetime achievement. Once you earn it, the FMP sticks with you forever. It doesn't expire. It doesn't require renewal. But again, just like the essentials, is a mid-level or entry-level qualification for facility managers. They will not have this sustainability facility professional, SFP. SFP will teach the knowledge, skills, and tools needed to develop sustainable facility management practices. This is one competency out of the 11 competencies that make up the FM body of knowledge. Sustainability is one out of them. And sustainability itself, because of the strategic nature and the depth and breadth of content in sustainability, it has its own credential specifically. Okay, so you learn about smart buildings, energy efficiency system, you learn about water conservation and how to reuse water and treat water. You learn about material management and how to manage waste recycling programs. You learn about smart buildings and high rises and automatic sensors and Internet of Things that makes buildings intelligent. You learn all that in the sustainability facility professional. It's a credential on its own. So if you're managing high-rise building, new modern complexes that have technology built into them, I think this is one specialization you want to dive into. And then there is a certified facility manager. Certified facility manager is like the apex level in the FM profession. It is not just a certificate like the essentials of facility management. It is not just a credential and a designation like the FMP and the SFP. FMP and SFP gives you a designation when you earn the credential. So you can put your name and add those designations, those initials. But the essentials I discussed before do not. The CFM provides both. It is now the certification. Certification stands at the top. It must be maintained and renewed every 3 years. So when you earn the FMP or the SFP, you earn those designations and credentials. But if you earn the CFM, you earn a certification on top of them. And it doesn't matter whether you earn the FMP or the SFP, you can go straight and earn the CFM. That's something that ISMA guarantees. But why the FMP and the SFP do not require any much by way of experience and level of activity you've engaged on, the CFM requires that you must have operated at a strategic level. So you must have been a director, you must have been a general manager, you must have managed people and large spaces for a number of years. 3 years if your first degree or a master's degree is in facility management, and 5 years if it is not. If you don't have any degree related to facility management or the built environment, 5 years experience will help you qualify to go and sit for the CFM exam. The FMP and the SFP, when you pay for them, you study in a computer, you do certain quizzes on the system, you download your certificates. That's how the FMP and SFP work. But the CFM, you prepare yourself, you cover the 11 competencies, not like FMP that has 4 and SFP that has 1. You cover all 11 competencies. And then you go and sit for an exam that is invigilated. It's called proctored exam. It used to be that you go to an exam center, but now you can do it at home in an environment that is clean or free of any distraction or any expo around you, because the invigilator will be in another country, but through your camera, the invigilator will see everywhere in your space and verify that you are really in an environment where you can write an exam, and then you open the exam for you. You will pass it and you see your score right there and then. And so it's pass or fail. If you pass it, thumbs up. If you don't pass it, to tell you, oh, in 6 months' time, prepare yourself to try again. And then the British Institute of Facility Management, now called the Institute of Workplace and Facility Management, IWFM. They also have a series of courses. This is the British group now, also selling their own FM knowledge to the world. So IFMA is from the US, spread through the world, and then IWFM is from Britain, spreading through the world. We in Nigeria also have our Association of Facility Management Practitioners of Nigeria, AFMPN. AFMPN is the national body for FMs in Nigeria. And even though we have not created our own credential, we do have a series of trainings that will qualify you to become a registered facility manager of Nigeria. That is something that we have started since last year. And we hope that in subsequent years, we'll be able to get a legislative charter, a law passed by the National Assembly to back the facility management registration program body in Nigeria. So that's something to look forward to. So you have a sense of pride that you are a facility manager. For all the things we do in the built environment, we've not had enough recognition because we have so few, one, and two, we've not really had that heavyweight sponsorship to back up the efforts to get government recognition. But I think that's something that's changing also. And with more members to the association, if we get to 10,000 members tomorrow, it will become very easy. Little contribution can give us the funds we need to push FM to that engaged position it's supposed to be in the country. Then the Canadians also have the Pro FM. Pro FM is a comparable credential that compared to the IFMA FMP. This is coming from the Pro FMI in Canada. So every time a new professional body brings up a credential, which requires a lot of investment anyway, they sell it to the world. And once you earn any of those credentials, you are already at par with any other person holding those credentials. And then you have the largest and the oldest professional body in the built environment, the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. The Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors is a body of all professionals, not just facility managers. So they have designers, architects, they have engineers of all types, they have surveyors of all types, quantity surveyors, essay surveyors, commissioning surveyors, and then you have facility managers, you have town planners, you have all kinds of professions making up the RICS. And if you earn the qualification in facility management from IFMA, for example, RICS recognizes it. A moment ago, I was talking to you about the AFMPN, right? If you want to network with professionals in this industry, if you want to, we'll provide you mentorship, for example, in the FMMC, we'll provide you the biggest network. Once you graduate from this program and you are moved into the alumni, you will be dropped into a pool of more than 1,000 people, right? All of them have taken this program and they're excelling in their various fields, and they're always interacting on a daily basis on how to help each other and how to help each other succeed, how to become resources to one another, sharing contacts for different solutions and working for each other. In fact, there is so many employments between members within the alumni that you will not even look for work. Even if you left your job today, you have a big network to tap into, and then there'll be opportunity to network and opportunity to volunteer and get things going, to organize others to be professionals that collaborate on different projects. So in joining professional associations, you have all of these benefits. You even have mentorship beyond the small circle that you are in. You need to see others who are also playing roles in facility management in the country. And then in terms of FM training, Max-Migold has been at the forefront of local FM training. Most of these other training centers still provide 2 days, 3 days training, but Max-Migold is the first to have gone all out to create a credential, and it has become so popular. If you go on LinkedIn and you see people, having FMD after their name, what it's saying is they have earned the FM diploma from Max-Migold. So that's the kind of impact we have made in the FM industry, and I look forward to you guys, joining as well and becoming proud earners of this certification. And that is why I would appeal to you to pay attention when the classes are running, to pay attention and follow the step-by-step approaches to do your assignments and submit them and complete your surveys, because you are developing the discipline, the resilience. You are imbibing the rigor for professional practice. If you are thrown from this program into a work environment where you have to generate processes, create templates and procedures, and you've not been taught these things before, you don't have anything in place, you'll be able to just, from the effort you have made in acquiring the knowledge from this program, you will be able to get right on it and deliver something unique in that environment, because you have been taught to be creative, you've been taught to find solutions through what you have gone through in this program. All right, so let's talk about the skills that make you stand out. And when I gave you the technical, managerial, interpersonal, this is a way of stretching that out, breaking technical into some items, breaking managerial into some items, and breaking interpersonal into some items here. The first skill and most important skill for a project manager is interpersonal relationship building. Being a bridge builder, being a consensus builder, being a likable person. Now, to turn that into a professional quality, you say you are a good communicator. You don't leave people in the dark. You don't surprise anyone. You communicate at every level, both for those you are serving and those who are serving you. You are analytical and problem solver. What this simply means is that you are not the one that comes to say something is broken. I don't know how it got broken. I don't know what to do about it, and I'm clueless. You cannot be clueless. To be analytical, you must have a systematic approach to data acquisition, to organizing and storing the data that you can use to trend and look back and take a decision on what the next action should be to solve a problem, right? If you want to get approval from management, you cannot just say, I feel that. No. Management wants to see the numbers. They want to see the kind of statistics behind that feeling that you have. So it's no longer a matter of feelings, it's a matter of numbers that say this thing failed frequently, and this is how often it has failed. Because I always kept a record of how, whenever it failed, I know that I can count the number of times it failed, and I use that to calculate what I call the mean time between failures, MTBF. And then use that as a justification, especially if I can also add the costs of every repair done. And then as well as the cost of its not unreliability, lost customers, lost productivity, lost time, and lost money, from those failures. I can use those numbers to generate a justification using a business case for management to give me approval to make a change, to make a major investment, or do anything important. Every time you hear a facility manager says, well, I brought an idea and they didn't buy it, so here we are today. That idea that you brought, you did not analyze properly, you did not put a proper step-by-step procedure to sell it to management, and that can become a problem. And then time management. Facility manager needs to be able to manage time effectively. Because look, there's only so many hours in a day. Many FMs tend to work longer hours and still are on call for the few hours they have for themselves because they've not been very meticulous in how to manage time. Managing time, we expect you to understand how to use the time grid. The time grid is a grid that uses 4 quadrants to describe everything that you do. On the 4 quadrants, you have on quadrant 1, what is important, right? And then you have, so you are using important and urgency and importance to estimate, to calculate everything you are doing. Okay, so I'm going to just give you a quick guide to how to use the time management grid, importance versus urgent. If you use the vertical, so draw, you can just do this practice with me right now, right? On your sheets, write draw a square and divide it into 4 on your notebook, right? Now, I'm taking the vertical line as the importance, and then I'm taking the horizontal as the urgent. So what does this mean? On the first quadrant, which is top left, I have important, but not urgent. That's top left. Top right, I have important and urgent. Bottom left, I have not important and not urgent. Bottom right, I have not important, but urgent. So let me go over the grid again. Everything you do will fall into one of 4 squares in this grid. You have the important and not urgent. You have the important and urgent. You have the not important and not urgent. And you have the not important and what? Urgent. Now, so if I give you this as 4 categories of tasks, which one should you prioritize more? Top left is 1, top right is 2, bottom left is 3, and bottom right is 4. And I said top left is important but not urgent. Top right is important and urgent. Bottom left is not important and not urgent. And bottom right is not important and urgent. Which one should you prioritize? I want a response from at least one person. If that person gets it right, I'll move on. Which of these quadrants should you prioritize to use your time more productively?
Important and urgent, sir.
Come again.
Important and urgent.
That's quadrant 2. Who else agrees?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, Silva.
I agree. It's number 2.
Okay. Now I want to hear who doesn't agree that important and urgent is your most significant quadrant. Okay. So I will tell you that you both are wrong, as politely as I can put it, and as shocking as that may sound. That is the reality. Your best quadrants, should I leak it out? Let me hear from Edith. Go ahead. Let me hear from you if you know the best quadrants where you should focus your time on this. Since I've already disqualified important and urgent quadrants, which one should it be? Edith, go ahead.
Yes, I can't see your screen. I can't see what you're showing. I can't see it.
Are you guys seeing my screen?
Yes, it's very visible.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yes, I'm sharing my screen and I'm doing an analysis that is not on the screen. I gave you an assignment to draw the grid so that you can visualize what I'm giving you. Now, let me tell you what the answer is. The important and not urgent grid is your best grid to sit on. That grid, we call it the proactivity grid. Proactive. That proactive grid. Proactive grid is the type of task that are very important to do, but they are not on a deadline. And why are they most important among these items? Because they help you to get things done ahead of time, prevent future errors, prevent future problems, prevent future crises, set up systems in place, create procedures, plans, and policies to ensure that things work smoothly. And when you are doing all of that, nothing is on a deadline. The moment it gets into a deadline, then it becomes both important and what? Urgent. Everything you do that are important and urgent could have been done when they were not yet urgent, which means they could have been done earlier than deadline. So in essence, whatever you do in the quadrant of important and urgent, try to do them early, try to do them in advance so that they are all done in important and not urgent. You do them better when they are yet not urgent. And then when it gets to the items that are not important and not urgent, forget it. Those are things you should not even bring to the workplace. Not important, not urgent are personal distractions. WhatsApp messages, not related to the job you do, Facebook chats, and all kinds of things that we do at work that shouldn't be even happening in that place, right? They are called non-important and not urgent. In fact, most of those items, even when you ignore them, there are no implications for ignoring them. Now, the not important and urgent are the intrusions. These are real intrusions. When your phone rings, for example, it just rings and rings and rings and draws your attention. It pulls you to accept. After you have accepted the call, it's just a lousy call. Somebody just feeling bored and wants to engage you on a chat about the match last night. That's not important, but because of the ringing, there's urgency created on something that's not important. Somebody barging into your office to just ask a question or try to pull you out of what you are doing into something that's distracting. They're all not important and they seem urgent because of the pressure you are in. FM should learn how to prioritize the use of time. We all have the same 24 hours and we have to sleep for 8 hours out of it. We must ensure that we use our time judiciously. Then we must understand finance and business. We tend to see money we spend as spending. And we have to get out of that mode of we spend money. No. Every money we spend as facility managers should have a strategic value to the organization. There should be a connection between the funds we dispense with and the goals and strategies of the organization. And to do this, we need to understand time value of money and its implication on company balance sheets. We need to understand life cycle analysis. We need to understand the difference between proactive plan preventive maintenance and reactive breakdown maintenance. We need to understand the concept of budgeting and how it helps us stay organized and how it prevents us from spending money wrongly, create justification for everything we spend. We need to understand how we can communicate through business cases to management, how we can justify projects and so on and so forth. All of them come under financial skills for facility managers. Sometimes we just end up on the wrong side of an argument. For example, should you pay a vendor who wants to charge you low upfront, or should you pay that vendor or another vendor who's charging you high after the job has been done? Most FMs will fall in the wrong side of this question. They will say, oh, I'll save money by paying the vendor less upfront, right? But you forget that you are parting with money that could be used for other things in the business that can generate more money before that vendor is even due to be paid. That's one. Two, you are taking the risk of that spending failing. If that spending into that project or activity does not give you the results you desire, what happens? You've already paid up front. You've taken that risk. Organizations would like to see FMs who are business-minded, who can say, you know what, let's add 10% to that guy's money, but let him do the job finish completely before we pay him. And these are the kind of things that makes you a business leader, because you understand the implication of what we call the internal rate of returns for every money that we have in the organization. So FM needs to have accounting, financial, and business basic. The same way you learn engineering and the components of the generator and what makes an AC cool, the gas that is used inside, and what is a fuse and so on, electrical system. That's how you need to understand the basics of financial analysis. The reason is these are all part of technical understanding that the FMs have. You don't want to become an accountant. You will never become an accountant But you must know the difference between an accounting code that is pulled out of a ledger for diesel that is put into a vehicle versus diesel that is put into a generator versus diesel that is put into a lawnmower. It is diesel, but the one put into a vehicle is transportation. It's a different accounting code. The one put into a generator is electricity to power the building. That goes into a different accounting code. The one put in a lawnmower to cut grass is landscaping. It's a different, so it is still diesel. But you cannot say, oh, because I'm not an accountant, therefore I will just use one code for every time I buy diesel. You're going to be complicating things for the organization. Everyone should understand how these dynamics work in the business space. And then project management, we need to have a systematic approach to delivering projects. You can't just order a vendor to bring paint and paint your house. There has to be a scope of work developed. There has to be commercial pricing agreed. There have to be a procedure for doing the painting, safety requirements documented, step-by-step approach. The schedule should be agreed, and so on and so forth. These are all project management skills that you must have. You cannot just do anything the way you feel like. There's a body of knowledge in project management that FM is supposed to acquire and work methodically. And then the FM is a networker, which means you interact, you collaborate. The FM is a researcher. Problems will drop on your palm to solve that you have never encountered before. Your first day in a job in an FM role will throw problems that you don't have a clue how to solve. Everything under the sun has been experienced before. It's your job to now research how those solutions will help you and bring them on board. And then you must be a good writer, whether it's reports, whether it's training, whether it's proposal, whether it's business cases. Your writing goes ahead of you. People evaluate your writing before they see you. So an FM should be able to write well. So if you have a shortfall or a deficiency in writing, go and take some kind of private lessons and courses or online writing skill. It's very, very important that you're able to put down reports, whether it's incident report, weekly reports, analysis of different situations for clients, business cases or proposals, training materials, should be able to write. And then work as a team. There's nothing you do in FM that not a teamwork. So if you're the type that want to isolate yourself and you feel you want to work as a lone person in FM, you're already failing from the start. Don't even bother. FM is a teamwork. We need technicians, we need teamers, we need security. You need everybody, technicians and all, to help give a unified experience to your end user. So you must be a team worker. You must be a unifier, you must be a collaborator. FM is a leader. You lead those that work under you, the vendors that come to work for you. You lead those that you serve in the built environment where you serve. You also lead your bosses. If anyone relies on you for intelligent information, relies on you to show good example, relies on you to be dependable when you say ABC will be done, confer with you for solutions and challenges they are having, you are influencing their opinions about so many things, whether you are there or not. That is leadership. Leadership is influence, inspiration. Leadership is the ability to lead people to see the end vision or an outcome and going on their own to play their role to ensure that that outcome manifests without you having to drag or push them. It's very different from management. Management, it's important because you use management to set processes in place. So there are incentives and penalties, procedures and policies and all kinds of things that if people do this, they get that. If that happens, you know, it's all documented. That's management. But you can have good management in place, all your procedures are in place, and you still have the outcome failing because people are not committed from within to be led or to follow through with what they've committed to do. The FM must be innovative. You must be able to make decisions on the fly, you must be IT savvy. This environment is becoming more complicated because of cutting edge technology that is coming in, smart systems, intelligent systems. Instead of having to read meters across multiple floors, energy meters, for example, water meters, and then ask for other FMs and other buildings to come in with their details, you can set up an IoT system across all those meters and the data will come in real time. you see what's going on. So you must have that sense that beyond spreadsheets and then to software, the building itself is becoming smarter and will be ready to embrace those technologies that make us good managers of smart buildings. The FM must be strong in numerical know-how, which means you must be knowledgeable in use of numbers. Okay, in the use of numbers. I just gave you a little bit of example when I was doing the financial business management item that, you know, if you're asked to give a deposit or to pay later after the job has been done, what would we jump at? Most of us would just out of common sense say, yeah, let's pay an advance, so very cheap, right? But money has what we call time value, present and future value of money, which says that a naira in hand today is more than a naira to be had tomorrow, right? And so if I'm looking for tomorrow's money, I must know how to discount the one I have in hand today. So 90 kobo can give me 1 naira for next year. So my next year's 1 naira is worth how much today? 90 kobo. Because if I put 90 kobo in the savings account and use 10%, that 10% will give me 1 naira by the time I need it next year. So that's the whole idea of being having a strong numerical know-how. Being able to look at a spreadsheet that has data and be able to say, okay, so based on the this spreadsheet, if I plot a graph of these numbers from January to May, this is what the graph should look like. And if the graph looks in this way, this is what it means, right? So it means that something is growing, or it means that something is going bad, and things like that. Also have emergency reflexes. Because we are supposed to be proactive to preempt things that go wrong before they go wrong. When you get in that mode where you are able to foresee potential problems, oh, the door handle is shaking. Nobody should tell you that that door handle will drop off one day, or eventually disconnect to the point where somebody will trapped inside the room. Do you have to wait for that occurrence before you now fix that door handle or tighten it back? No, right? But when it does happen that, oh, somebody is trapped in the room because nobody observed the door handle was slack for 3-5 days, for example, then you must be able to spring into action and prevent that person who is trapped from having trauma or any kind of syndrome that can come out of being imprisoned in the space. You must be quick in taking decisions to save the day, right? And this requires reflexes. Care for the people will make you creative in the kind of solutions you bring to ensure that nobody is in harm's way. And a go with the flow attitude. This simply means that you are flexible and adaptable. You are easy to read and decide what adjustments to make. So we talked about the facility management core competencies in our previous class. I'm not going to run through the various skills that you can acquire, that you need to acquire as a facility manager, you know, to really become a complete facility manager in this day and age. But before I do this, I'll give us a 5-minute break. Please click on the chat that we are on break for 5 minutes, and we'll be right back after 5 minutes. Thank you.
Is it 5 minutes yet?
Okay, welcome back. I hope we can come back in and continue.
Yeah, here, sir.
All right, good. So the first competence in facility management is that of communication. You should be able to manage the development and use of the facility communications plan. So what is a facility communication plan? Facility management communication plan. All the messages, reminders, vision, mission, all communication that needs to take place between the various stakeholders in your facility needs to be planned. So first identify the stakeholders, yourself, your bosses, owners, tenants, residents, visitors, external stakeholders like regulators, government agencies, vendors that come to serve the organization, and so on and so forth. Now, once they are all identified, you need to now identify for each stakeholder what information they will typically need from you and what information you will typically need from them. You list them under their needs. And then you will now go into what is the mode of communication. Some are meetings, what meetings are they? Some are newsletters, some are boards, things to notice to put out on the notice board. Some are building user group emails, surveys, questionnaires, all kinds of things. Town hall meetings, operational meetings, HSE meetings, performance reviews for contractors, for example, license renewals, application to regulatory bodies, and so on and so forth. You itemize everything. It is a hard work, front-end work to do. But if you get it right, you are on a sure footing for excellent operations and maintenance and management of all stakeholders. So start with the stakeholder identification, information required from them and to give to them in terms of exchanges, and then what mode or channel, meetings, letters, newsletters, bulletins, website pages, and so on and so forth, social media pages, whatever, it needs to be identified. Then what frequency, how often is this information needed? Residents in an estate, for example, probably want to have a service charge review documentation and presentation once a year. They probably want to have a quarterly reconciliation of their reactive cost contributions of diesel reconciliation and so on and so forth. This is planned for. That's the whole idea of a communications plan. Under this competency too, you should be able to prepare and deliver messages that achieve the intended result. What does this mean? Senior management wants to hear from you before they approve the things that you want done. Most recommendations will go to board meetings for review. Being able to get people to always say, yes, yes, approved, requires you to understand how to package. And it starts with analysis based on concrete data that you have gathered over time, not I feel kind of conclusions. And also, once you've analyzed with clear data, you must be the type that has integrity and credibility. Analysis with the right data shows that you know what the problem is and how it can be solved. But whether your solution is the best solution or whether you are the best person to implement it is another question. And that comes out of the experiences you've given your bosses over the years. Is it the experience of credibility? Is it the experience of trustworthiness? Because it's only make an investment on your proposal. You don't want them thinking that it's for a personal gain. All right? So that's why integrity, credibility, and trust comes in to balance out that I've done a thorough job, I have my proper data, and I know what I'm doing, I can convince people to do it. And then finally, we're going to do presentation that impresses people. Okay? Those who are going to approve, you will feel a sense of confidence coming out of you during your presentation for them to say, yes, yes, we'll go this route and we'll put out whatever resources into it. Competence number 2, emergency preparedness and business continuity. This is what we call the risk management program or plan that you must have in place. What can go wrong? Can you ask yourself that question? If you just look at the things that have gone wrong in the last 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 1 year, it gives you an indication, isn't it? But do you allow them to keep happening the way they've been happening? When reinforced power goes out, we are run out of the inverter storage, diesel is not supplied by the vendor because it wasn't paid. So many things can happen. And are we learning from those? Are we documenting them into a risk management plan? So I can have a way to overcome those things. First, those you want to avoid, those you want to mitigate, those you want to prevent, those you want to accept, and those you want to transfer need to be consciously developed. That's the whole idea of emergency preparedness. If something happens today, a thunder strikes and power goes out, not from the neighborhood, but just from your building because a certain fuse is blown. How will you respond? How will you react? Already documented. That's what that plan is about. And then you have environmental stewardship and sustainability. You should be able to analyze the impacts of your organization on the environment. How are we impacting the environment? Is it positive or negative? If you have sewage pumping into the drainages, is that a positive impact on the environment or a negative? If you have diesel generator spewing out soot heavily in the environment, of course you're wasting diesel, but then you're also impacting the environment negatively, right? If you're generating waste where there's no need to generate such waste, how are you impacting the environment? Facility manager will be able to do the baseline of understanding your impact in the environment and working to reduce wastage of water, wastage of resources, energy, for example, so on and so forth. So that it's not so much about cost reduction, which of course is fair benefit, but on the environmental impacts. That's why we're doing most of these things. They're able to manage the entire organization's commitment to the sustainability of the business environment. So sustainability programs, validation, changes to be made, even how you procure materials to work in your organization to have sustainability consideration. Then financial business. Number 1, understand budgeting. There's a difference between operational budget and capital budget. They must not be mixed together. They are not the same thing. What goes into operational budget are the things we need to spend on a routine basis, on a regular basis. They are repetitive. The capital budget is for major repairs and replacement that don't happen every year, right? So that's the clear differentiation. But because the volume of work that needs to be done on the capital budget it's not regular, it can fluctuate. So you can have 100 million capital budget project this year and nothing for next year, or very little next year, right? It can fluctuate. But when it comes to operations funds, it's kind of steady, follows through that arithmetic progression, through impacted by inflation and things like that. So budgeting is the number one competence skill here. And then you must understand how to develop contracts, implement the contracts, manage the contracts, agreements with vendors, if there are conflicts and so on and so forth. You must be able to manage procurements and chargeback procedures. What this simply means is that in facility management, you will need to buy things from vendors, right? You are able to specify what needs to be acquired correctly with precision procurement. Because that's done right, the vendors are obligated to provide you exactly what you ask for, right? But if you leave it open-ended and allow them to decide what they want to bring based on the amount that are agreed with you, because you didn't negotiate on the price or the cost, it's what you get that is what you see that you get, and that can become a problem. And then the same thing applies to chargebacks. What's the chargeback? A chargeback is when you have multiple departments in an organization paying from their budget for the services they receive from the facility manager. So if I clean the whole office for 1 million naira a month, I should find a way to divide that 1 million naira cost of cleaning to the various departments according to how they consume cleaning services. That's what the chargeback means. So if there's a project to be executed, that money will be budgeted for by that unit that is going to benefit from it. And I, as an FM, become a contractor, internal contractor or vendor to my own organizational department, because I'm using their budgets to provide services for them. That's what the chargeback is. It means that I spend and I bill for it. What that does is, for many organizations, it gives the department or the consuming department or units some sense of accountability. They're no longer going to leave ACs on, 20 ACs in their hall and go home, because they know that that bill is going to hit them at the end of the month, because there's a meter that meters their space. And every bill that comes out of that area is going to be thrown into their budget. So they'll be more conscious. They will know other things that they don't need, for example, and so on and so forth. And then you have the human factors. How do you consider yourself in the workplace? You are working in an organization, and your job is to ensure that people are comfortable, people have conducive environment. People like their workspaces because of the way you care for it. That's the first thing. And this includes health and safety, security, access control, everything that gives people a sense of pride in their workplace. It is you, the FM, that provides all that. And then for those you manage, your FM team, there should be a sense of direction. If I'm working in this department or in this organization, there should be training, there should be growth opportunities, there should be coaching, there should be all kinds of things that helps me to grow and expand or reach my goals as an employee. Plus, I must also have a performance management system. People who work in the organization should not just come and go anyhow as if this is not a place where you measure. You have to measure performance. You have to have goals, and then you have to have how the achievements have met the requirements of those goals. If not, corrections need to be taken. Competence, leadership, and strategy. You should be able to lead your team. That's the first thing. Inspire them, advocate for your team, implement policies, procedures, and practices that help the facility to grow, and then resolve conflicts if there are any. You should be able to lead the entire organization by being an example of ethical behavior, which we call a code of conduct. The facility manager needs to live at a very high level of ethical disposition, which means you are always in the right. You are not greedy. You are not trying to steal. You are not trying to line your pockets with some of those, contracting sums and procurement sums that pass through you. So being able to lead the entire organization as an example of integrity is very important. And then the FM is able to plan strategically. Every organization has where they are going. The FM cannot be waiting for the vision to take 2 steps forward, then call them, say, hey, come FM, come and clear the path for us to the next step. But the FM should always be ahead, which means for you to always be ahead, you must understand the direction. You must understand the, for example, the capacity we are trying to build in terms of number of staff, the kind of positioning to the public that the mission is trying to have, the kind of clients we are trying to acquire. The FM comes ahead and say, for us to be able to be at this point at so and so time, we will need this types of services, these types of facilities, types of technology, and we need to provide them in advance as the vision grows. So the FM being able to plan strategically means you can see ahead and create visionary plans for the organization and success. Operations and maintenance. The competent facility manager is able to assess the condition of the facility. First, you cannot manage what you don't know. So that's where it starts from the asset register. There's a course, an entire course in this program, where you are going to learn how to catalog your assets. Then you must be able to do what we call a facility audit or a condition assessment, which is being able to pick out all the defects, all the things that are cracked and failing in the buildings. Being able to enumerate them and describe them and scope what work needs to be done and the costing of what it will take. You should be able to install new equipment. You should be able to maintain new equipment. You should be able to operate. You should be able to dispose at the end of the useful life of assets as a facility manager. In terms of occupant services, the services you provide for users of the building, you must be able to confer with the building users before you scope exactly what they need. Sometimes we make the mistake of trying to offer our services to our users as the experts. No, you can't do occupant services that way. You have to know exactly what the occupants are trying to achieve with the space and services they need to be able to achieve what they want to achieve, right? And then operational maintenance requires that you do maintenance, whether it's predictive, preventive, or run to failure maintenance. We have a whole class. We're going to break all this down for you in this program, right? The FM is also able to operate a facility, set the appropriate temperature that's comfortable, that's also cost efficient, make sure there's enough lighting that people don't start losing their sight or start bumping their head. Equipment that are becoming noisy, service and fix, replace if necessary, and then understand that everything that comes into your building has a life cycle to end at some point. That end point is known ahead of time. It's not something that happens by law. You don't wait until the equipment has broken down to that point before you now know what to do. I talked about project management, the competence we must have, be able to define a project, plan the project, and develop contract specifications and solicitations, and be able to supervise contractors executing projects for us. Now, most projects you would encounter as a facility manager, you would go and call the expert contractor who knows it, but if you don't research it well, so you can get a mastery of what you are trying to do, you may end up being derailed. Because if you decide to do something wrong, you will not be able to tell. And then there is a competence we call quality. Be able to create standards for the facility management organization. Standard starts from the bottom, what we call the statutory standards. Statutory standards are the minimum allowable standard you can apply, and this is by law. In Nigeria, we have a law called the Nigerian Building Code. The Nigerian Building Code is a law that sets minimum standards for all aspects of the built environment. Standards for structural, electrical installations, comfort, cooling, standards for water provision, standards for indoor air quality, standards for energy efficiency. All these standards have been specified. So as facility managers, we're not the ones building. The builders are supposed to understand these standards and use the standard to build. But in many cases, if you are not there, they don't build to these standards. All right. So as facility managers, we now should come in and be able to understand the standards to the point where we can now identify what is non-compliant, what does not meet those standards, so that we can correct them. For example, a house is built 10 stories, no fire extinguishers or fire fighting mechanism built into the house. That is a code violation. As an FM, we must be ready to understand how to step in and fix such poor standards when we see them. Then, when you provide services to your customers, are you able to estimate the quality of services that you are providing? What tools can you use to gather information to evaluate yourself as a service provider? Quality requires that you have those performance metrics in place, service level agreement, performance indicators. There are things that you use to measure the quality of work that you do. We have a whole class where we're going to be talking about quality in facility management. And just as a take home from this session, always think about how to do the things you did yesterday better today. Things that were done last year. Is there another way I can do this year that will bring better results? That's part of quality. And then being compliant to building codes, like I said before. And then you have real estate and property management. If you go to develop master plan and see how properties evolve over time and how the valuation also goes up over time because of what you do to keep them maintained and operated. And then you have technology. You should be able to plan, direct, and manage the facility management business and operational technologies. Softwares like competitive facility management, that's carbon computerized maintenance management systems, CMMS, building automation systems, integrated work management systems. These are just examples of the evolving trends, with regards to how technology is going today. We have a whole session, in fact, 2 sessions in this program that will delve more into technology, but the FM should be confident and competent in managing technology. So those are the 11 companies. See how broad they are. You see how widespread. And there must be something that you bring to the table that you now add all the rest to it as a facility manager. So FMs can focus anywhere, whether it's everything that we do with the non-core services, providing support for the core business to excel and succeed. That's what we're doing. Whether it's training, whether it's fleet, whether it's security, whether it's logistics, that's all we're doing. In facility management, you are expected to work like every other person working 40 hours a week, but this is the twist. You come to work for them. You come to work because of them, not with them, not like them. Okay? So if we're going to do that we versus them demarcation, we are the ones that comes to make sure that they can work, right? So what this means is that you as a facility manager need to schedule your time in such a way that you can be able to work off peak of your customers. Clean, so you're not distracting them from work. Power provide fuel for your generators, make sure bills are paid, and so on and so forth. Capture all the things that you need to do to enable the organization thrive. That's what you're trying to create. So you should be planning your work hours. Okay. Sometimes you would have overtime requirements, weekend work, due to activities or projects that you're executing to have your eyes on. Yeah, it's normal. But if you plan your time well, you should be able to work 40 hours a week and not have any issues. And then there are all kinds of opportunities you can get in the FM industry. I showed you the working in the client side of demand organization versus working in the service provider. Both presents different opportunities. on the demand organization, you can rise to a C level and stop. On the FM service provider organization, you can rise to become directors or MDs because your core business is facility management. So you can grow in there to any level. Whereas if you're in the bank, there's an extent you can grow to. You cannot become the bank MD or the director of so and so in the banking system because you never became a bank while in management for the bank. Okay. So these roles are nomenclatures, whether you're a maintenance specialist, officer, supervisor, coordinator, regional coordinator, manager, whatever titles you get, are all based on the organization's organogram. So you cannot have an organization where a manager is a position. You not have an entry-level facility manager because his profession is facility management, and it's a facility manager, and that's actually manager. I mean, you call him officer or supervisor or coordinator, something like that aligns with the organizational hierarchy. But that individual should be knowledgeable enough to identify himself as a facility manager, even if you're just an intern. So all the advantages and disadvantages of working in the FM company versus working in the demand organization or client organization. You have a huge variety of work in terms of client types, asset class, geographical location, and style of FM work needed. If you're working for an FM company, or for a single company like a First Bank, for example, you only experience First Bank. But if you work for an FM company, you experience all kinds of organizations that do contact, which gives you a deeper experience of FM. Okay. But then the advantage is that you are kind of spread out across so many things. You have wide experience, but no in-depth experience in one industry. Okay, and then think about it. If you are in the demand organization or the client organization, you are the owner of the assets. You are the boss to the vendors. So you have a sense of belonging, a sense of achievement if you're in that position. And sometimes you probably will earn higher than somebody working for an FM company because once outsourcing takes place, they expect that the FM company should be able to, make savings for and for us, the company giving out the job, as well as make profit for themselves. So they have to find things done, have to find ways to get things done cheaper as well. So you do not earn as much in an FM company compared to a demand organization. But something, those who have taken the IFMA CFM class exam, that's the certification exam, those who have had varied experiences, worked on the two sides of the coin, worked for FM company for and worked for demand organizations at a higher level, they tend to do better because they have a very wide variety of leadership experience compared to if you work for one organization all your career. Okay, so I think I'll just keep on the hard and soft service thing we analyzed that before. And then when you work in an organization, you could find yourself in, you need to understand certain structures within the organization. Some organizations will have an FM in charge of several buildings or one big building. Now, FM is managing that building using resources, technicians from air conditioner, mechanical departments, electrical departments, and so on and so forth. Now, if you're in that kind of organization, you have the electricians and the plumbers reporting both to the FM and reporting to their subject matter expert heads. That's a matrix organization. It's also possible to work in an organization where everything is top-down, functional organization. The bosses talk to the subordinates and then so on and so forth. They provide discipline-focused services. We'll talk about this more. We'll talk about FM organizations in a future class in this series. FM should be aware of changing technology and stuff. Very important that we're not left behind when it comes to technology that are shaping the FM space. So if you're going to spend time browsing on your phones and doing all of those things we do on our phones these days, please go to YouTube and search for FM related videos and watch them and see transformation the world is going through with regards to this environment. So you can become smarter and more enlightened. FM is practiced at 3 levels. The operational level is the shop floor, the bottom where everything is done day to day. So the cleaners have a cleaning roster, the security have a beat plan, the maintenance have a schedule. Those are all operational activities. Then you have a tactical level where you create budgets, where you put contracts in place, where you are still dealing with what you will use to execute at the operational level. That's tactical. It's a level where you define what will be done. Operational is the how it will be done. But the strategic level, which is the highest level, is the why we'll do things. This is the level at which you look at the organization that is paying for the FM service and you ask, why does the organization exist? Who are its customers? What are its goals or strategic objectives for the next 3 to 5 years? And how can FM contribute to helping it, enable it to achieve those goals? That's what you are doing at a strategic level. That's why at that level, you make decisions like contracting strategy, recruitment plans, contracting, technology deployment, sustainability initiatives, and so on and so forth, right? Once you take those decisions, it's signed up to by management. You're not bringing down to the tactical level where you're not creating budgets that line items are being created or built to help achieve what you decided at the strategic level. Okay. So why are we teaching all of this? We want to start finding an FM job right now. So you're going to work on your resume. I know many people have one resume. I don't advise that. You should have several versions of your resume or CVs aligned to the different roles that you are looking for in the FM industry, right? You should also be able to reward your experience to make them more like FM. So an admin person should highlight the facility management, task to perform while being an admin person. The receptionist should highlight the facility management task to perform, the communication, the organization, the project management that you did while being a receptionist, and so on and so forth, so that you can highlight the value, the transferable skills you've acquired for facility management. So I know that part of the requirement for joining this program is to submit your CVs. So if you've not submitted your CVs the way they are right now, this is the time to turn them in, okay? We're going to have another class in workplace productivity where you will learn how to revamp your CVs. And we're going to give you an assignment to do a revision on your CV and resubmit. So those are going to be 2 different assignments. The first one is not taken as an assignment because it's part of your onboarding process. Your CV should already be on file, right? Then the next one I'm going to come up with is for you to rewrite your CV to capture certain changes that will make your CV sell, okay? All right, so the FM must possess a couple of skills to effectively carry out these roles, including effective communication, not just a couple, quite a lot of skills. And sometimes it's a bit scary, right? When you have to be a risk manager, you have to be a financial analyst, you have to be an engineering person, you have to be a communicator, you have to be an analyzer, you have to be, all kinds of things come into FM. But they are required at the mastery level. Mastery is that you understand what the client wants, you know what scope to prepare to meet the client's requirements, but you are not the specialist who is going to deliver on each of those scopes. But you can supervise how that is done and retrieve the results to go and report back to the clients that you have done it. So that's the level of proficiency you need in each of these competencies. All right, so you've seen your assessment. It's in the slide on the on your LMS. Please take your time to get through with it. I saw the poll that was done on Wednesday's assessments, and I think a few people have still not done the assessment. Please do your assessments. Don't pile them up. Don't allow them pile up. It expired. The one for Monday, Wednesday expired 5 p.m. today. The one for today will expire 5 p.m. on Monday. So instead of waiting till the last minute, my advice is get it done now. Don't be the one that will start crying later that, oh, I don't have access to do my assignment. I cannot submit my assessment. Because those tabs will be closed when they are expired or when the timeline is reached. So don't build them up, don't pile them up. Okay. All right, so that's our lesson for today. Time to turn back on our videos and have a conversation. I want to hear from you. Your questions, key takeaways, things you want to go and do from this lesson. I know you must have questions about your career plans and paths. Please share them and any thoughts you might have. Am I saying Oyeyemi for the first time in this class? Can you please turn on your video and introduce yourself? Who else am I seeing for the first time? Patricia was here on Wednesday, I think. Was Edith here on Wednesday for introductions? Guys, please come on screen. Let's have a quick discussion. All right, so let's hear your questions, takeaways. Use the raise hand tool on your Zoom. I'll remind you to speak, okay? Who's gonna go first? Destin, are you trying to talk to the class? You're muted.
Okay, sir. Please, I have a question. There's something that you said about capital budgeting. So, capital budgeting, and is there something that this one comes once in a year? So, please, I want to know, how did capital budgeting come to play in facility management?
Good.
How do the management, let's say, the management manage, how did this one comes to play in facility management? Because because to my own understanding, we have my company day-to-day activities and what we need to do per week. Then I've never come across this one, capital budgeting, that it comes once in a year. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So when you start in facility management, you start at the shop floor. You know that place where I said operational. That's where you have the plans for the week and for the month. You execute them. There's a budget for all the routine things that you'll be doing, like how much you spend on the drinking water, how much you spend on diesel, how much you spend on the materials to do the maintenance, engine oil and filters and the rest. Those are things we call operational items. They are planned as operational budget because there are things that you must spend on a regular basis continuously. All right. Now, there are some things that you plan because every asset has a life cycle. If you buy an air conditioner today and you install the AC, you should write down when that AC will be replaced. You don't install the AC and go and sleep and say this AC is going to be here forever, right? So if in your organization, AC is typically used for 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, you record it in your asset register. So you are counting down to that 12 years for that AC. Now, when it gets to the time to replace the AC, that AC's replacement is not like fuel, it's not like oil, it's not like filter. The AC is a capital investment. That money, you have to plan for it separately. So if you're managing an asset, for example, we have what we call a sinking fund. They pay service charge, and then they contribute into a sinking fund. That sinking fund is reserved for meeting up capital budget expenses requirements. For example, interlocking tiles that you install in waterlogged area to pave the place. That interlocking tiles, if you give it too much, 15 years for the very best one. If it's low quality ones you did 8 to 10 years, they will turn to sand, right? You must plan that at a certain time in the future, you will remove those ones and put new ones, isn't it? Or at a certain time in the future, you will put a concrete pavement on top. The same way we have terrazzo floor in most buildings before. At a certain time in the future, we have to come and lay tiles, ceramic or five tiles on them. The roof that you put in the house, that roof might be very good aluminum roof, but after 25 years or 30 years, that roof will start, giving different kinds of problems. I was in a client site in an island in River State recently. Roofs that were installed in the 80s, solid aluminum roof, 0.7 mm aluminum roof. Now they are now an eyesore. They are still not leaking, but the client is embarrassed the way the roof has changed color, it has turned to something else. And so they are concerned. How do we, okay, it's not leaking, but the houses are now ugly because of this roof. That's because they did not plan that at a certain time, they will change the roof. You get? So now they are saying, okay, we've done 25 years, this roof needs to be replaced. Initially, they said, okay, why do we have to replace it? Let's just paint them over. So they came and started painting the roof. But after painting a few buildings, they now realized that the ones they painted within 6 months are now looking worse than the ones that were not painted. So all those questions are things you answer in advance. If you install street lights, if you install borehole pumps, if you install generators, they are not supposed to work forever. They have a time when they need to be replaced. So their budgeting is called capital budgeting. We see them as projects. When the time comes, we say, oh, we have a project. Take, for example, painting of your house, right? Some organizations paint as a project. Some paint as routine, things that you do regularly. Take some banks. If you take FCMB Bank now with all their white pillars and white interior, you don't expect them to wait 3 years, 4 years to paint that white again. Every year, they must touch up that white continuously. So for them, painting is not a capital project. Painting is just like sweeping and mopping, because once it is time, they will paint it. So you have to decide what goes into your operations budget and what goes into your capital budget. Capital budget are for long-term effects, things that you plan life cycle for and decide that they will either be changed or overhauled or repaired at a certain time after normal use. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let's hear from Siva. Go
Hello,
ahead.
thank you so much.
Philomena, hold on. Do you see the raise hand tool in your room? Look for the raise hand tool in your Zoom so you can raise your hand. I'll call you. Philomena. Siva, please go ahead in the timing. Yes, good. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much for the class, sir. So I have a question about the FM levels of operations. So you said they are strategic, tactical, and operational.
Yeah.
And then the strategic focuses on the why.
Yes.
The operational focuses on the how. So the
Yes.
tactical, what does it focus on?
What?
Okay, the what.
Yes.
Thank
If you decide, if you know why, you decide what needs to be done. Those are the projects and the budget items. Then you now decide from that how they will be done. That's the day-to-day execution. Let me know your turn. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you so much for the class. I didn't get the explanation of chargeback.
Okay. Yeah. So if you work in an organization where the FM gets a budget and the management approves that money and does not, and you do not it not approved based on the users. It's approved for the FM to spend. You're not doing chargeback. But some organizations, they will approve what each department needs to spend for their own facilities to the department. So the FM department spending those money will be charging it into those budgets. That's called a chargeback. So if I buy electricity for a building, a high-rise building, I will meter the HR department. I will meter the training department. I will meter the production department separately. So as I pay the bill, I will divide the total amount I have paid into the budget of those departments. So by doing that chargeback approach, I will make them more responsible for managing resources with me. They will be putting off things because they know that their bill is going to go up. And for organizations where you have profit and loss, decentralized profit and loss, let's take a bank, for example. A bank will have many branches across the country. Each branch has its own profit and loss account. They are asking the manager, how much did you spend versus how much you raised this month from all your various transactions, right? Now, so if the FM department comes to come and paint the branch every 3 months and charge it into their accounts, at a point, the branch will say, hold on, we don't have money to pay you for this painting. Can you leave our building like this? We're not painting this time. That's because they don't want the charges to affect their profit and loss. Because if you're not profitable, your performance is low, isn't it? You will be rated poor in performance. Now, another thing is it gives a sense of accountability. People tend to waste things that they are not accountable for. Imagine what happens when you are on estimated billing. You will remember that you have not switched off things, but you tell yourself, is it not estimated billing? Whether I switch off or I don't switch it off, they'll still give me the same bill. Let me not bother. That behavior is not an efficient behavior in an organization. When the FM operates a chargeback approach, the units that are consuming services, they tend to be more responsible and accountable for the resources they consume. So every time they ask you to supply something to them, they know that it is their budget that they are going to bill it into. So they will have to ask themselves twice, again and again, do we really need it? So it's a system that companies use to create efficiency within their means. And even FM departments, they put us on our toes. For example, I had a team once that was sent to go to a branch of a bank, a national bank in Ekiti. My team traveled to that place, sent by the headquarters FM group, only to find out that the branch manager, after seeing our quotation to execute that job, decided that he was going to use a local vendor to get it done. And they did a fantastic job. So the head office department, the FM department, should have been more open-minded to look for vendors in Ekiti to do that job that they did not seek out. They were going to charge a higher cost to that branch by sending my team from Lagos to go and do a job in Ekiti, which will include transport and hotel accommodation for 3 of my workers. So the branch manager knows that if that bill is charged into his profit and loss, that means his performance will be rated poor in this quarter. So he just said, you know what? We are not allowing your vendors come from Lagos. These guys did not tell us. We have to spend our transport, wasted it and come back without doing that job. So in essence, the smartness to be on your toes and do things right is higher when you are using a chatbot system. Okay, so that's our lesson for today. Thank you all for being here. And I look forward to seeing you in our next class. Tomorrow is Saturday. For those on the physical class, I will not be in the training center. The training department has arranged for another lecturer to stand in for me tomorrow and take his own classes. I'll still take my own classes when I come physically next week. Okay, but I think I still have a couple more classes to take next week on the virtual class. So see you guys on Monday.
Thank you very much, sir.
It's
been an interesting session.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, I needed to. Thank you, sir. I needed to get clarity.
Your hand is up. Is it for now or the one you said before?
No, I'm talking. Hello, sir. Hello.
All right. So thank you, everyone.
Hello, sir.
See you on Monday. Bye-bye.
Oh, my God.
Thank you, sir.
Why is it that I'm not hearing? They don't hear me. And they heard me just.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.